Gotta go back over to Anna Kepner. I don't know if you remember who that is, but that's a young woman who ended up being killed on a cruise ship by her suspected stepbrother. That's who they're thinking the killer is. But as of right now, he has been released basically on his own recognizance to the family. I don't know if that's the right term, but he was basically released to the family. So
it's expected during a hearing in federal court. It's in the case of the teenager accused of killing his stepsister on a Carnival cruise ship. CBS News Miami's Manuel Bojorquez is your reporter live outside the courthouse in downtown Miami with what the judge is being asked to decide. Manny.
Well, Naja, I just stepped out of the courtroom and can report to you that prosecutors right now are asking the judge to jail 16-year-old Timothy Hudson, and they argue that he should remain in custody pending the outcome of his trial. We have video of Hudson arriving here at the federal courthouse this morning with his attorney. He was previously released to a relative and is being electronically monitored. That was when he was charged as a juvenile. But when a judge last month ruled he should be tried as an adult, prosecutors argued he should also be taken into custody. We're now showing Hudson's face in the video because he is being charged as an adult. The charges he is facing: first-degree murder and aggravated sexual abuse in the killing of his 18-year-old stepsister Anna Kepner while they were on a Carnival cruise in November of last year. Kepner's body was found under a bed in a cabin she was sharing with the teen. Her cause of death was ruled to be mechanical asphyxiation. Hudson has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. We will, of course, monitor the courtroom, see if the judge has a decision this afternoon, and report all the latest to you online and, of course, at 5.
Now, of course, we have a decision. So we're going to get over to that. But it's crazy that they agreed that he needed to be tried as an adult. Because juvenile, when they are sentenced, their main purpose is rehabilitation. Adults, they need to face punishment. That is basically what the courts say. But they don't want him to feel like, be used like a real adult or be sentenced like a real adult. But let's get over into this next video and hear about that.
A teenage boy accused of killing his stepsister on a cruise ship will remain in the custody of a family member as he awaits trial.
16-year-old Timothy Hudson left federal court earlier in Miami after a federal judge decided not to send him to jail. Hudson has pleaded not guilty to charges of aggravated sexual abuse and first-degree murder in the death of his 18-year-old stepsister, Anna Kepner. He was initially arrested and charged as a juvenile, but will now be tried as an adult.
Let's bring in NBC News correspondent George Solis. George, Anna was killed last November while she was on a cruise vacation with her family. We covered the story then. Remind us what we know about this case and what happened in court today.
Yeah, Cadence and Clay, this was a very unusual case, if you will, in terms of some of the details, especially since this was initially tried. Timothy Hudson was initially tried as a juvenile, then this moved into adult court, essentially, and the judge making note that this is unusual because, again, in these cases, you don't really see minors being prosecuted in federal court, but because this happened in international waters, this is sort of where it landed. And in short today, the judge saying he really wants to look at this a little bit more closely before making any final determination, considering that this is all taking place in South Florida. He was currently remanded in custody with his uncle and his wife in Central Florida. And you see the charges there. He's facing first-degree murder, aggravated sex abuse charges. Some of the details in court today, almost too graphic to say out loud. But right now, it seems like the judge is going to allow him to stay under that monitoring with his family while he appoints U.S. Marshals to see, again, if there is a facility somewhere in Central Florida that Timothy Hudson could stay before this eventually goes to trial, guys.
And to that.
Now, this is just a weird situation in general, because if you follow the case like I did or go back and look at some of my old videos, he was completely obsessed with her. There has been multiple statements from family members and then friends of the victim saying that he was obsessed with her. But the fact that they still put them in the same room, knew about this, the whole situation itself was weird. But let's keep going into this.
That end, when are we expecting this trial to begin, and what are the next steps in this legal process?
Yeah, so right now, again, he'll be under monitoring with his family, and the judge really didn't let it be known whether or not when this case might be presented before him again. I think it really depends now at this point if they're able to find that facility. The judge noting that, and the defense really noting that he's already been in their custody and that nothing has happened. But again, prosecutors here from the government making it clear that based on some of the information and what they've learned here, they do believe he is a flight risk and a serious threat to some of the people around him. The judge did not see it that way at this point. So there's still so many more questions here. And quickly of note here, the judge was presented with some new timeline details about what happened, saying based on some of the information they learned, this all took place within about 2 hours, and there may have even been another person involved in the death of Anna Kepner. So again, a lot more questions than answers at this point. And again, for the short term, it seems like Timothy Hudson will still be in custody with his family before this case ever gets to trial. Guys.
Wow. So we got more. We had that little peep of more information, basically that it all happened in a span of 2 hours, and that there's possibly another person involved in this. Could it be another family member? We'll have to wait and see. But let's get over into the AI breakdown just to find out a little bit more information and wrap up this section. So the main thing we're focusing on is the stepbrother. But let's get over into it. So we know that the case happened, just a little breakthrough of the case. She was sexually assaulted and killed, the 18-year-old, on a cruise ship, on a Carnival cruise ship. It happened. Her body was discovered on November 7th, and they called it mechanical asphyxiation. So let's go over to the stepbrother. So at the federal court hearing in Miami, the judge ruled that the 16-year-old will remain free on home confinement for now, despite prosecutors pushing for immediate jail time. The bond hearing followed the transfer of his case from juvenile to adult federal court. The federal prosecution argued that Hudson posed a severe danger to the community and significant flight risk now that he faces a life sentence as an adult, which is, makes sense to me. If you think you can get off, or just because remember, juvenile, the difference between juvenile and adult is that juvenile sentencing or sentence as juvenile is more based on rehabilitation. So there's an opportunity for you to basically get away with it, if you want to call it that. But adult is so he can get life in prison. So he's much more likely to, if he truly did it, to run away. At least that's my thinking. But however, the judge declined to immediately jail him, citing his young age. The judge noted that while an adult under the identical circumstances would be detained, this is a different animal. I myself think at a certain age, you know right from wrong. So you got a big boy crime, need big boy time. So the judge left the issue somewhat open, requesting that the U.S. Marshals explore juvenile detention in Central Florida. This would allow Hudson to be housed closer to his family rather than hundreds of miles away in South Florida. Hudson was seen leaving the courthouse without handcuffs, accompanied by his family and attorneys. He is permitted to return to the home of his uncle under the GPS monitoring, where 2 other children also reside. Anna Kepner's father publicly expressed his deep frustration with the ruling, stating that there is no consequences for his action and demanding that Hudson be held in physical custody until the trial begins. I can understand that from a father's perspective. The kid who I'm assuming he's sure that killed her, sexually assaulted his daughter, gets to go home and sleep in his own bed. I would be feeling the same way. Of course, you are innocent until proven guilty, but there's a lot of evidence stacked up against him. During the hearing, the assistant U.S. attorney revealed highly disturbing details regarding the autopsy and crime scene. It reportedly took 3 to 5 minutes for Hudson to strangle her to death. The autopsy confirmed that she was pinned down and violently raped. Hudson was identified by prosecutors as the only individual seen entering the stateroom with Kepner on the night of her death. Hudson has pleaded not guilty to the upgraded adult charges of his first-degree murder and aggravated sexual assault. His federal criminal jury trial, which was initially slated for June 1st, has officially been rescheduled to September 8th, 2026. If convicted as an adult, he faces a maximum life sentence. Wow. But there are some new details that we have to think about and remember is that the simple fact that they said there's possibly another person in there. So he could not have been the one to do it, even though all the other evidence about him being obsessed with her and doing, go back and watch the old videos, but he's done a lot of weird things. And that is why people are immediately moving towards him being the killer or an sexual assaulter. But you are innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. So we have to wait and see. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said.